Hey, everybody, welcome back. Devin, the OG, the original Grognard. Yeah, I'm still working on that. I don't know. I'll figure out something that'll work eventually. Oh, wow, I don't know where I'm at. None of this looks familiar. I'm in Atlanta, boys and girls. Contact Atlanta, World at War 85. We can honestly say this is now a release convention. Well, it's not a convention, it's release party, gameplay, whatever you want to call it. For those of you who may not have caught it last night, on Friday, November 1st, I don't know what time. It's like 7 o'clock here, which really isn't a bad time in the morning, but it's like 4 o'clock, what I'm used to. So, I'm still a little bit punchy. Plus, I haven't gotten much sleep the last couple days. Thursday's flight, buy me a beer sometime. I'll tell you about it. It's a good story. Lock and Load Publishing, on the table, Lock and Load Publishing, the podcast Dave Heath and the crew over at Lock and Load Publishing do. We, last night, finally, if you missed it, the games are on the containers. Yes. So, what does that mean? Well, they're on the containers. Let's see, one step at a time. So, World of War 85, the Kickstarter, Space Infantry Resurgent, the Kickstarter, starter packs for Lock and Load and Nations at War, Arctic Storm, all the stuff that we've been waiting on since July, and the printers have been just taking their sweet time. I wanted to swear there a little bit, but I didn't. They're finally on the containers. What does that mean? Well, we're a step closer. They're not on the ship yet. And once they get on the ship, it's still going to take about 4 to 6 weeks to get here. And then everything needs to be taken off the ship and then shipped to David and the crew in Colorado and then shipped out from there. Yeah, I'm being real hopeful and optimistic about this. Christmas? Maybe? Hopefully. So, anyways, why am I in Atlanta? We're doing the World of War 85. Mark Faircloth has done an outstanding job, and again, you should go back and watch the video on the air with Lock and Load Publishing. But I'm gonna get into some video of it myself later. There's like 8 of us here, and Mark set the whole thing up. Keith is here. Jeff is here. I'm here. We got a bunch of really cool people here. We're playing. We're doing the second monster scenario, Battle for Frankfurt. Somehow I got tasked on the Soviet side of things, and I'm kind of in control of a small little reduced infantry battalion that's kind of at the very tip of the Soviet advance, desperately clinging on to the ruins of a village and just on the outskirts of Frankfurt. And there's a lot of infantry, NATO infantry coming my way, and I've got the M1 Abrams are already starting to flank me from behind and starting to head for our battalions of T-80s and T-62s that are coming up. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. We're having a really good time. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and jump over and take a look at the board. All right, so here we are. This is the map that Mark has done up. He has 3D printed. Yeah, you heard that right. This is 3D printed, and I will be doing a video with Mark highlighting how he's done this, but basically has taken a 3D printer and printed out these hexagonal frames, and 15 of these frames make up one of the boards in game. And then you've got, these are the actual hexes that he has 3D printed out, and then, just put the resin on and glued it, or put the terrain type on it, or what have you. And this is the final result, and this is just absolutely stunning and friggin' beautiful. Like I said, I do plan on doing a video with Mark going in more detail on the procedure that he went through to 3D print this massive 8-foot by 6-foot board. And this is all 8 maps of the massive Battle of Frankfurt map that's in World War 85, Storming the Gap. This right here is the outer edges of Frankfurt. And basically, that direction is north. This is south, so we're looking at, north, south, east, west. To give it kind of a little relative, if you know the German terrain, about 6 hexes this way is the river. And the river across or the bridges across the river to the main part of Frankfurt. So we're not seeing a lot of fight. The scenario doesn't have a lot of fighting in Frankfurt itself, but I mean this area right here is part of the outskirts of Frankfurt. The 2 scenarios that are included, the first one are the Soviets coming in from the northeast quadrant. So basically the Soviets enter here and are pushing down to try to get as far as they can. The second scenario, the one that we're playing here at Contact Atlanta, is the Soviets have pushed as far as they can. They've run out of steam. The U.S., the NATO forces have got NATO has gotten units in the area, and they're conducting their counterattack. And the Russians are rapidly throwing reinforcements into the area. And of course, the reinforcements are coming from there. So pretty much the furthest extent of the advance is this city right here. What is that? Eschborn. This is the village of Eschborn. And these are the units that I'm controlling right now. I didn't want these guys, but it just kind of came out this way. I've got a reduced infantry battalion. And I had a couple platoons of armor backing me up, but American Aardvark came in and did bad things, and then some M1s came in and did some more bad things. I mean, there's still some T-80s left alive. T-64s, not so much. But we've got a battalion of infantry. Fortunately, it's mech infantry, and I think 113 is. There's no M2 Bradleys here. But they're kind of pushing in on me, and the problem is, Mark, is the guy who's putting on the event and running the infantry, is a very methodical player, and he's been very cautiously moving his troops up, and he's getting prepared and getting in position so he can hit me in one massive hammer blow. And part of me is thinking, it's like, I can either wait for him or I can come out and try to disrupt his timetable. So we may end up doing that. And the U.S. has got a infantry company that they're pushing up, capture this bridgehead. We got some air mobile units, Russian air mobile units. We really don't know what we're doing with them yet, so we'll see. We've started to get a couple of our reserve battalions on. We got 2 battalions of T-80s and 1 battalion of T-62s. There's one of the T-80 battalions right there. And there's another one of the T-80 battalions. We haven't even got our T-64s on yet. But there's this road network going right up the middle of the board. And the problem comes into play is that the American M1 platoons or companies are starting to make their way up kind of this same road network. I have a feeling whoever gets to that village first, and honestly, I think we're kind of winning the race right now, because the Americans decided to peel off into this wood line to try to take care of, the little bit of armor that we had backing up my infantry in the village. I think that's going to slow them down. I don't think they're going to get to the village with enough forces in time. I mean, I could be wrong. The Americans have 2 activations, and so they're moving faster than us. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. We've got this stream right here, and we've got an actual gun line. Yes, those are Soviet field pieces, anti-tank guns. We got a couple BRDMs with anti-tank missiles on them, but yeah, we've got a lot of American M1s coming, and those 2 AT. Yeah, those. Fortunately, if you'll see, we're covering each of the bridges. So, it's going to take him time to dig through that, which is why we're thinking the Americans are going to want to push that way right into, our oncoming jaws of T-80 death. As far as airstrikes go, for the most part, yeah, the American aardvark, the first one, they'll get another one, came in and just basically obliterated. They were aiming for the T-80 platoon, but the T-80 or the T-80 company, and they came out pretty well. The T-64, not so much. So that kind of hurt because I was hoping those tanks would help me back me up against the infantry or act as a flanking force on the American M1s. Didn't happen. And the only thing the Soviets have had, the only air that we've have, yeah, that was our target. We had some Su-25 Frankfurters, and you're probably thinking to yourself, with all the target-rich environment, why the hell did we knock that? Yeah, that was the Chaparral unit. That was his missile defense, his air-to-air missile defense. You know, the air-to-air missile defense that can reach 60 hexes, which is pretty much everywhere on the board. We got helicopters out there. We don't need those missiles firing at us from 60 hexes. So the decision was made that our only air support was going to knock out the biggest air threat that they had, which basically is now going to allow our air mobile, the helicopters in the hips, hins and hips, basically go where we want to. I mean, yeah, the U.S. have got some Stingers, they've got some no Gepards, but they do have some Vulcans. But you know, we can work around that. And honestly, when it gets down to it, our Frogfoot would have only been able to hit one hex, and you know, at best that would have knocked out 2 tanks. You know, and even not even that, because as you can see, I mean, the M1s are pretty much scattered. They are separated. There's only 1 unit per hex, so you know, what good would it have done knocking out 1 tank unit versus gutting their air defense? Yeah, I can kind of see going for the air defense because we're going to be using those air mobile as a rapid fire brigade, I have a feeling. So that's kind of the overview of the battle. And when I come back, it'll be instant for you through the magic of technology. But you know, I'm going to get we're going to see some shots of the game in progress. And I don't know how long I'll record. I mean, I'll record for a while and then probably edit it down. So I have no idea how long this video is going to go. But that's kind of what we're looking at. That's what we've been doing. We started this yesterday. We wanted to start at 1 o'clock. Yeah, I think we started at about 4. We played for like 3.5 hours last night, and we're halfway through turn 2. This is the 20-turn scenario. The plan is dice are going to start being rolled at 9 o'clock, and that's, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes away, something like that. Oh, there's no clocks in here. And we're going to go until 8 o'clock tonight. That's the plan. Of course, you know, this will all be done by the time everyone sees it because I still have to get home and edit all this. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. That's what I'm doing here down in Atlanta. I'm out of breath. I need to stop doing this. I need to get in shape. So when I come back, we'll be playing.